Hi, I'm Carrie, and this is Saunders Sisterhood. This is a YouTube channel for the single and childless person. Today, our video is about being single and childless and how the fact that you're single and childless does not mean that you're broken or defective or that it's this glaring red flag that you walk around with indicating that there's something wrong with you. It can definitely feel like that. I think when you reach a certain age and you're single and childless, people wonder why. I think that is mostly based on ignorance in terms of there's not a lot of representation of people who are single and childless out there. So there's an assumption that if you wanted it to happen, you would have made it happen. And that's not true. So, being single and childless does not mean you're broken. What does it mean, though? That's what our video is about. Number one, it is what it is. It doesn't really have to mean a whole lot other than the fact that you are single and childless, not by choice. It doesn't mean that you were too picky. It doesn't mean that you're too independent. It doesn't mean that you didn't manifest it. It doesn't mean that if you really wanted it, you would have had it. So it means that you must not have really wanted it. It isn't laced with all of these underlying messages. It just is what it is. And the same way that somebody is married and has children, we're just single and don't have children. One could say we didn't make a bunch of big mistakes. There's a lot of people that get married. There's a lot of people that have children. And then those relationships fall apart. And that isn't healthy either. So, you're single and childless. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means it just is. Number two, you're not the only one, and it can absolutely feel like you're the only one. It's part of the purpose of this channel, and it's part of the purpose of the work that I do. Because when you're single and childless, it's often not something that we want to talk about. It's often something that maybe we feel a little shame around, embarrassment around, wondering what's wrong with us, wondering what people must think of us. And so it's not something that we're leading with often. Or I think there are times too that when we do share, if we're single and childless, then it kind of feels like we're a project for the people around us. Sometimes people then want to get on the dating apps with us in terms of, oh, let me fill out your profile, or, oh, let me see who's here. And it becomes more of this entertainment and this game for them. And that gets old quickly. It gets boring quickly, right? It's something that feels like your life that then becomes somebody else's entertainment. So we stop talking about it and we stop putting ourselves out there with our friends and things like that. And it can feel very isolating. Again, it can feel like you are the only one. And remember, you are not the only one. And that's an area where I think social media can be really helpful. Obviously, as I've said before, there are cesspools in social media, and there's also these pockets that can be about bringing community together and being people who are going through something similar together as a reminder that you aren't the only one. So even if it feels like you're the only one in your small community or your neighborhood or your workplace, or because you have access to this broader world, that you are not the only one. Number three, don't change the fundamentals of who you are because of what you think somebody else wants. Don't change who you are in order to snag a partner. Okay, that does not bode well for sustainability of the relationship. It does not bode well for the long-term happiness of the relationship. Be who you are, and be who you are. Yeah, there is no and. It's be who you are. It doesn't mean that we all don't have things that we need to work on. We all might have to work on some attachment stuff or some trauma related to previous breakups or our own self-worth. Again, that's not specific though to being single and childless. That is something I would say to anybody. But don't change the fundamentals of who you are. If you're somebody who likes to do things on their own, or likes to um, travel, or likes to get out there and um, really be a beast at work, right? Don't change those things about yourself because you feel like it makes you too threatening. Because that's not going to attract the right person anyway, right? Remind yourself, this is who I am. This is who I like to be. I'm going to live my life in the way that brings me joy. And what happens will happen. If you don't want to be single, you may have to put yourself out there a little bit, and you may have to make some adjustments in terms of um, going places other than staying at home, right? But that's what I mean. It's the fundamental of who you are. Don't change the fundamental of who you are, because you're not going to attract something that is sustainable. And you're worth more than that. You're okay the way that you are. I think a lot of topics around being single is do these 5 things if you don't want to be single anymore. And yeah, I can understand, if you don't want to be single and you're not leaving your house, that's something to think about. However, again, being single and childless does not mean you're broken. It just is what it is. You aren't the only one. And remember, you don't need to change the fundamentals of who you are. If that feels hard, surround yourself in community. People who can lift you up, people who can support you for who you are, people who will support what's going on in your life and not try and make you a project, or not try and encourage you to do something you don't want to do. If you're looking for a community around that, Sonder Sisterhood is an online community where we have monthly events to really help empower each other to live our life the way that we want to live it. So continue to follow us here at Sonder Sisterhood, or you can follow us on Instagram at sondersisterhood.com. Let me know what you think, and if you have any other thoughts about this topic in the comments below. Have a good one.